Hello and welcome. My name is Lexi Jong and here I like to talk about luxury beauty, and today we are doing a video with some viewer requests and some product updates and swatches and things like that. So we are going to be talking about the Bobbi Brown Luxe Precious Metals eyeshadow palette. This is for this year's holiday. I do have a video where I have first impressions of this, but we're going to do an update on this, and I have 3 eye looks to show with you. One of those, the second look, is the same one from my refer video from yesterday. So, you know, same eye look that's in there, just so you know. And then there are 2 additional ones. And then we're also going to be talking about the Makeup by Mario lipsticks and Rare Beauty mascara and some updates and swatch comparisons and things like that. So let's first start off with the Bobbi Brown Luxe Precious Metals eyeshadow palette. So this palette, it comes in this gold case. Okay, it kind of looks like sun rays. And this is the Luxe eyeshadow formula, but it's not the same Luxe formula as what I have from last year's holiday. That one had more of like a putty-like texture. These are all like metallic shadows, so they are not quite so putty-like. They feel, I mean, they're a super shimmery like powder shadow, but it's not like super powdery. So it's not the same as her regular formula, but it's more of a metallic, less creamy texture than the Luxe eyeshadows from last year. I have the bronze quad from last year, and I do have those swatched in the first impressions video if you are interested in looking at that. But we're going to compare these to the M Cosmetics Cosmic Pearl shadows because these are a cream version, but they have a very similar appearance on the eyes. So we're going to start off by swatching this palette, and this palette is, you know, I have to say, I really like it. I have been using it a lot. Let me just pull up my sleeves here, and we have 8 shadows here. They're pretty big pan sizes, and I think they're really nice. So we have a net weight of 0.04 ounces or 1.3 grams for each shadow here. And again, that's 8 of them. And these are a gorgeous metallic formula. They are not very like dusty or anything like that, so you're not going to get a lot of kick up or fallout or anything like that. So these are the first 4 shades, and the shades are listed on the back of the palette. So we have Top of the Rock, Glistening City, Gilded Pink, and Skyline Shimmer. And you can see Top of the Rock is more of a silver with a touch of gray, so it's like a little bit warmer than a traditional silver. Glistening City is more of a bright yellow gold. Gilded Pink is a soft, warm metallic pink. And Skyline Shimmer is actually kind of like a peachy orange shade, almost like a yellowish pumpkin. And then for the last 4 shades, we have, this one here is Rose Garnet, and you can see it's like if you take that garnet red kind of shade and you mix in some pink, you've got that. So it's definitely much more muted. We've got Gunmetal, which is kind of like a pewter gray. And then this one here is Downtown Heat, which is it's more of like a mango orange. And there's red in there too, like some pink per se. And then we have Antique Bronze, which kind of speaks for itself. It really is bronze, but there's like a little touch of orange in it. It's like an orangier bronze. So these are the shadows in the Luxe Precious Metal palette, and you can see that they are creamy for a metallic shadow. You know, it's not a cream formula, but they have like a creamy powder texture. So you're not going to get a lot of fallout or dust or kick up or anything like that. Now I do have 2 of the M Cosmic Pearl shadows. These are a cream shadow. This one here is Luna. I'm going to put this right here so you can kind of see the color. This is a cream shadow and it looks stunning on the eyes. Unfortunately, these don't perform as well. So you can see that this one, you've got a little bit of that like kind of like a gold reflect in there, but it's like a silver shadow. I love the way these look on the eyes. And, you know, I like the way they look even at the end, but they do kind of fall down to your lash line. So by the end of the day, if you have a long day, it's going to look more like a thick eyeliner. This one here is Moonrise, which is a pink shade. These are the two lightest for the Cosmic Pearl. And you can see that it's much more of a peachy pink compared to the Gilded Pink in this palette. They are all stunning shadows. Performance-wise, I have to hand it to Bobbi Brown though. So Bobbi Brown, if I use an eyeshadow primer, absolutely no issues or creasing or anything for like 14, 15-hour day. If I don't use an eyeshadow primer, I do get like, I start getting signs of creasing in the crease, you know, after around anywhere around like 11, 12 hours. So, you know, I typically wear an eyeshadow primer. I like the Viseart eye primer and no issues with that. Again, you don't have any fallout or anything with these throughout the day, which is really nice. And you don't have fallout with the Cosmic Pearl either, but again, it is kind of shifting down. So it doesn't shift down like in a messy way. Like it's not falling on my face or anything. Honestly, I'm not even sure where it's going. But it basically ends up more as like a thick eyeliner along the lash line by the end of the day, with or without primer. So I think the better formula would be the Bobbi Brown, but I do really like both. You can see though that the intensity of the shimmer is going to be fairly comparable between both formulas. So let me go ahead and share the additional 3 eye looks for this palette with you now. And again, I will have the original video linked down below if you'd like to see that one. All right, so I'm going to start off with a Danessa Myricks cream shadow. This is the shade Exposed. I just want kind of like a nude, it's a matte, by the way. This is, I just want some sort of like nude matte base. So I'm just going to get a little bit of this on my finger here. Put it on the eyes. And let me get a brush to wipe that out with. I'm just using the Esom V29. This is a synthetic brush. Just going to brush this all over and buff it into the crease. I just want the sparkly shades of the Bobbi Brown palette to really stand out. Okay, and next we're going to move on to the pink shade here, this light pink one, which is called Gilded Pink. And this is the Esom W23. So you can see that it is just kind of like a thicker brush. This one's sable hair. I'm going to put this kind of all over. Mostly, I'm leaving the outer corner. I'm going to add another color in here as well. And then I want to go into this one down here, the Gunmetal, and we're going to add this to the outer corner. And I really love mixing brown and gray. So having the gray shadow and then the brown a little bit in the crease from the Danessa Myricks will buff that out. All right, so I wiped off the brush and I'm just going to softly feather some of that gray into the pink up to the halfway point. So there's no additional shadow. So I'm just taking the La Bouche Rouge crease brush. This one's synthetic. And I'm just kind of buffing the crease a little bit. And I'm going to get a drop of the Esom Mixing Medium on my hand here. We're going to go into one of the gold shades to make like a liquid liner. So just a drop of this. And I'm taking the Rephr 23 brush. So just going to twirl that in there, and I'm wiping off the excess liquid just by going back and forth on my hand a little bit. And we're going to go into this gold shade here at the top, which is called Skyline Shimmer. Okay, so just going to line the upper lashes with this. And I'm twirling my brush to make sure I'm getting all of the pigment. Okay, and then for the other side, I'm just going to dampen my brush again before going in. Okay, so I have this brush. It's still a little wet. I'm wiping off any excess on my cloth. And I think for the lower lash line, we're just going to go back into the gunmetal shade. So it might still be like slightly damp, but I'm not getting it wet again. Just going to put this lightly under the eyes. All right, and then I'm gonna go into this like yellow shade here. This one is called, what is it? Glistening City. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of this to the inner corner and drag it down just a touch to meet the gunmetal. So drag it up and down a little. All right, so that's my look there. And if you really want to make this pop even more, you can add a very, very thin layer of black liner, like right against the lash line. I'm going to leave it at this though. I'm just going to add some mascara and I'll see you in a second. And this is the final look from a distance. Okay, so I'm just going to get a little dab of the Viseart eye primer on and just dab this on, and then we're going to go ahead and move into eyes. And we're going in with the Refer 32. This is the Bobbi Brown Luxe Precious Metals palette. I'm going to go into this last shade in the palette. Just going to get some product up on here. And we're going to start in this outer corner. And look at how perfectly that fits. I mean, you've got this tapered edge, which goes nicely into the crease. You can easily just kind of work your way like all the way across the lid. You could use this for one and done, just for darkening the outer corner. It's totally, you know, very versatile brush. I'm going to go into this pink shade, which is the first one on the second row. I'm just going to put this here in the center. And then I'm going to go into the very first shade, this silvery shade. And we're going to put this in the inner portion here. All right, just wiping the brush off. And now I'm just going to kind of use this to kind of blend the edges here. I don't want the pink to be super noticeable, but it's more of like something that your eye kind of catches. I'm just going to finish off the eye look with the 03 brush into this gunmetal shade for the lower lash line. And I'm just going to take a little bit of the silver shade. Again, just dab it directly in the inner corner for a little extra brightening. And for eyeliner on the upper lash line, this is the Chanel Style Yeux in Gris Graphite. All right, so this is the eye look. I'm just gonna finish my makeup. I'll see you in a minute. And this is the final look from a distance. So the last thing I added was the Givenchy Le Rouge Sheer Velvet in 36 L'Interdit and the Jones Road Brow Pencil in Ash. Everything else is the same. I have the Surratt Noir Lash Tint on, and that's it. All right, so we're going to go into the Bobbi Brown Luxe Precious Metals palette. We're going to go into this yellowish shade, which is called Glistening City. This is the Chikuhodo KZ6 brush, and I love this for like one and done shadows. We're going to do a very light dusting. I have the Viseart eye primer on, and I just wanted to show you the application difference with, you know, a softer brush like this. So we're going to do 2 layers of this. These KZ brushes are awesome because even though they are super soft squirrel hair, they have more pickup. The pickup is more similar to goat than it is to some of the other squirrel hair brushes. Let's just a little bit more here. All right, look at that. I mean, all of these shades can be used just for a one and done. All right, and next we're going to go into this shade here, which is called Skyline Shimmer. And let's just get a little bit of this here. We're going to start on the outer corner and just work it in just a little bit. And then I'm going to take the KZ8 brush, yes, KZ8, into this one here, Top of the Rock. And we're going to put this in the inner corner and work it up a little bit. And then I'm going to go into this one here. This one's Gunmetal for the lower lash line. So I'm using the same brush. And And that's going to be it for this. I mean, you can totally add in like an accent of this pink. I think this pink would be really pretty in there as well. But, you know, I kind of wanted this like more bright yellow gold, which is something I don't usually wear. Now to finish off this look, I'm going to take the Chanel Stylo Ya in number 30 Marine, just to give it something a little different. I'm going to put this on the upper lash line, just going pretty closely to the lashes. Okay, and I'm just using the KZ8 to just softly feather that a little bit. This brush is pretty soft, so it's not really doing too much to smudge it, but that's okay with me. And this is the final eye look from a distance. So I have 2 coats of the Rare Beauty mascara on, and that's the only other thing that I've added. All right, so let's move on to the Makeup by Mario lipsticks. So Makeup by Mario, you know, when the brand first came out, I wasn't really all that interested, but then this summer I tried those cream blushes and I ended up picking up all of them over, you know, a few orders because I absolutely love them. They are one of the best cream shadows in my opinion. I think not cream shadows, cream blushes in my opinion. And I really think they are phenomenal. So I was really excited to try his new lipsticks. And these are called the Ultra Suede lipstick. And I was very, very optimistic. So let's talk about packaging here. So you've got a white tube. It is magnetic. So you've got a magnetic closure. And again, these are the Ultra Suede lipstick. You can buy these at Sephora or on the Makeup by Mario. They're made in the US. There's an 18-month shelf life for these. And let's see, they are 4 grams. So let's go ahead and swatch them. I have 5 shades. Oh gosh. We'll swatch them here on my hand. So this one here is Erin. And just gonna build up the end of it there so you can see how deep it gets. By the way, this is the shape of it. Let me just show you what that looks like. So you have more, like it's a little bit of a softer angle here. You can see like it's kind of like blurred edges. It's not like completely sharp. And you have a little bit of a suede appearance on the outside of the bullet. So this one here is Erin. And this would be it's a nude shade with a touch of pink, but it leans warm. And then we have Sam. Put that right next to it. Sam is going to be pinker. And again, this is going to be like a pinky nude. This one definitely, it's got more pink in it, but it's still like a warmer pink. It's cooler in tone than Erin, but it's still like a warmer pink. Next we have Jessie. And one of the things I like about these lipsticks is the fact that the names are all people who have been with him since he started his makeup line. So these are people who work with him on this line. So this one here is Jessie. And you can see that this one is also going to have brown tones kind of mixed with some berry tones. And I have to say they all kind of lean a bit warm. Next we have Kate. And you can see just going on here that Kate is smoother and silkier than the other ones. So just something to note there. Kate is going to be more brown. It's like a browner version of Jessie. So it's a little bit warmer. Jessie is going to be a little bit cooler in tone than Kate. And then my last one here is Fanda. And here's Fanda. This one is definitely going to be more of a brown. Again, we do have a touch of like a warm pink in there. You can see that all of these shades are fairly similar and they all kind of have a bit of a brownish base to them. I think it was really hard for me to pick shades online because I feel like the photos and swatches that were available, and let's just say I ordered right away, so there weren't that many swatches on Instagram at that time. You know, he didn't have that all swatched like in live swatches until after I ordered. But I just felt like the promo photos on the lips versus what's in the bullet versus, you know, the little swipe that you see in the promo photos, they all looked different. So it was really difficult to figure out which shades to get. And I feel like a lot of these look very similar. So this is a matte lipstick, and I have to say it's not my favorite. I think they're okay. The first one that I tried was actually Kate. So when I first tried it, I had a more favorable opinion of it because, as you could see from swatching it, Kate is definitely going to be the smoothest and creamiest of these lipsticks. It also is a little bit more sheer when you swipe it on. It feels like there's like a little more silicone in that one. I don't even know. Let me check. Yeah, you know, dimethicone is the second ingredient on these. So I would expect them to have a little bit more slip than they do. But Kate is the only one that's really super creamy. And then following that, we have Erin. Erin is also fairly creamy. The other ones are a little bit drier. And I have to say though, overall this formula, I think it's okay. I do not plan on purchasing anymore. I'm not returning what I did purchase. I will use them, but these are a little bit drying to my lips for most of these shades. Again, Kate and Erin, I haven't really had as much issue with. I can wear those. They're not as drying. They're a little bit more comfortable on the lips. But the other three shades that I picked up, so that would be Jessie and Sam and Vanda, they're a little bit drier, and you can see just during the lip application, which I'll show you in a second, that there's a little bit of tugging on the lips and they just look a little bit drier. I find them to be a little bit more uncomfortable on the lips. You know, as the day wears on, when you first put it on, these actually feel very thin and weightless, like a lot of the sheer velvets and things that have been coming out. They don't have that like super dry, powdery matte texture. But once it dries down, I mean, I'm not saying there's no powder. You can feel a little powder, but it's not the same as those traditional mattes, in my opinion. But they are a little drying on the lips. Like you can feel that they're a little dry on your lips, you know, even shortly after putting them on. And if you wear them day after day, to me, they kind of affect my lips negatively with moisture level. Again, Kate, though, I've been able to wear back-to-back consecutive days without having issues with that one. So I don't know, that one's just different. But overall, I think these are okay. I don't particularly love the finish. These are supposed to be like blurring and so forth. I don't really find them to be blurring. I actually think they make my lips look drier than they actually are. Like I see more lines and so forth in them, but I'll still wear them because I'm wearing one right now. All I'm doing is topping it with gloss. I have Erin on, topped with the Tom Ford Bare Ass Gloss, which doesn't have much color. And, you know, I find them very comfortable like this. And the staying power on these lipsticks is really good. So if you are interested, you know, if you try one out and you don't like it, it's definitely a great way to use it because the pigment will remain on your lips. And if you top it with gloss or lip balm, it's going to stay pretty comfortable. All right, so let's move on to the Rare Beauty mascara. So this mascara is kind of a bargain. So it's 0.45 fluid ounces or 13.5 milliliters, and it is made in Italy. And here is the wand to this. And I talk about this a little bit in the demo. So let's move on to the demo and then we'll come back and talk about my thoughts. And let's take a look at the Rare Beauty mascara. So here's the wand for this. Just wipe off that gunk there. So here's the wand for the Rare Beauty mascara. And you can see that it actually has like a little dip in here. So it goes like this. Whoosh. Almost like a figure 8, but it's not indented enough, if that makes sense. More like a snowman with just a little indent. So let's go ahead and put this on. I did curl my lashes with the Rougher Eyelash Curler. And this is a volumizing mascara. So here is one coat versus nothing. And let's go ahead and add a second coat so you can see what happens. I'm just re-dipping the brush. And you can see that adding a second coat really makes a huge difference. All right, and then let me show you. This one's actually, it works pretty well on lower lashes, I would say. It kind of, you know how sometimes you go in with one of these mascaras to do the lower lashes, and it's like you're hitting the lashes but you're not really seeing the pigment go on there. It kind of like skips it. That doesn't really happen with this one. All right, so most people probably leave the mascara like this. I like to kind of, you know, I use an eyelash comb. I know you can use like a plain mascara wand or something like that as well, but I like to separate my lashes. Now, I don't recommend these metal combs unless, you know, you're super careful. I've been using mine for probably 20 years, so I'm very familiar with it, and I don't really stab myself in the eye with it, but it's not actually safe. So, you know, I don't recommend it per se. All right, so this is one eye with mascara, 2 coats versus nothing. Let me show you this from a distance. Mascara, no mascara. All right, so I hope that was helpful to see how this mascara performs. I have not had any issues with this mascara flaking or, you know, having any like smudging or anything throughout the day. It has held up very well. I think it's a nice mascara. The first couple times I used it, I actually liked it more than I do now. I think it's like now it's a good value. It's a good mascara. It's not a favorite. And that's more so just a personal preference. I think it actually is a really nice volumizing mascara, and you can see that it really does create volume. But for me, one of the issues I have with volumizing mascaras is they typically lead to clumping, which I detest. I don't like clumping on my lashes. And this does that. The first few times I used it, I really didn't experience much clumping. I was like, oh, this is great. But the more I've used it, you know, as this formula has gotten a little, you know, I've had it open for a little while now, so it dries out a little bit. I have had more clumping. And that's one of the reasons I typically go more for a lengthening mascara, because those typically don't have as much clumping. For a volumizing mascara, I think this is a really nice one, and I do like it. I would purchase it again if I was looking for a volumizing mascara, especially one at this price point, but it's not my favorite. And if I had to choose between this and, you know, one of the other ones that I love that aren't so clumpy, would be, I would choose those. So my favorites would be the Surratt Noir Lash Tint and the Sisley So Stretch Mascara. And the lash tint is really more of a lash tint. You know, it's separating, it's defining, it's not really going to provide length or volume. So it's really a much more natural look. And the Sisley So Stretch is really more of a lengthening one. So for a volumizing mascara, this would be up there for me with the Chanel, Le Volume de Chanel mascara, but it's just not going to be one that I reach for the most with my personal preferences, if that makes sense. But I do have to say it's a great mascara. All right, and one more comparison request that we had was between the new Guerlain meteorites for the holidays. So that's the gold pearls. So we're going to compare these along with the Cle de Peau holiday highlighter in 102. So we'll have a side-by-side comparison of this, as well as swatch comparisons for this and the 103 highlighter from the holiday from Cle de Peau, although that one's not similar. So here, let's take a look. So by request, we are going to do a comparison of the new Guerlain holiday meteorites in gold pearls with the Cle de Peau holiday highlighter in 103. You can see that they do have similar colors in here. So we are going to do one side with the meteorites. So I am using the Chikuhodu KZ02. We're going to brush this on, you know, more like in the blush region, so you can kind of see the color a little bit more impactfully. And I do have the Victoria Beckham blush in Major on underneath, but there is the meteorites. All right, now on this side, let's go in with the Cle de Peau. So here's the Cle de Peau versus the meteorites. And you can see that the Cle de Peau is a little bit brighter. I mean, look at this. This one has more of a burnished gold versus a brighter gold here. There's actually a little bit more white in the Cle de Peau versus the Guerlain. Let's see these from a distance. All right, so meteorites versus the Cle de Peau. They are pretty close. Let's look at some arm swatches. All right, so here are the meteorites in gold pearls. Here is the Cle de Peau in 102, which you can see is lighter. And this one is called A Glow with Wonder, and it does seem to be exclusive to the Cle de Peau website. And although this isn't similar, this is the other holiday highlighter from Cle de Peau. This one's 103, Wonderful Radiance. You can see the difference there. So let me know what you think about these comparisons down below. I would say that they are kind of similar in color, but you've got a little bit more red and it's a lot deeper in the meteorites compared to the Cle de Peau. The Cle de Peau also, you know, because it's a little lighter, it does look a little bit more intense on the skin. But if you look up close, which I know is a little bit hard for you to do on camera, but there's actually a little bit more sparkle in the meteorites when you put it on. I mean, this is the crushed powder. So if you're using that as an intense highlighter, which is what I tried to get on the brush, you know, it is a little bit more sparkly than the Cle de Peau. So I hope that was helpful. I think they are both great options, and it's really just gonna be personal preference. If you have one, you probably don't need the other one, but it also depends how you use them. You know, I do feel like the Cle de Peau works better straight up as a highlighter, and the meteorites, depending on how you apply them, you can buff them in to get a slightly different finish, and they work beautifully as a finishing powder or as a highlighter. So I think it really depends what your purpose is and your application method. So I hope this is helpful. All right, and we have just a couple of comparisons to go over today. So I just picked up the Sisley Lafido Ombre. This is one of the single eyeshadows in metallic khaki. This is number 25. And I had a request to swatch this with the green from the Nars Climax palette. So we're gonna put this right here. So this is the Sisley. You can see that it is softly metallic, and you can see where it buffs out that there is a bit of a grayish undertone to it. So let's look at the Nars Climax. We'll compare the matte and the metallic here. This is a fantastic palette. So let's put the matte one right above it. You can see the color. And here's the metallic. You can see that the metallic is going to be much stronger and creamier in the Nars. The Sisley is actually kind of in between the matte and the metallic. Let's layer those. All right, so here's the two of them layered. Oh gosh, let me see if I can get these right next to it. Can you see that? Let's try it again. All right, so here they are layered. And let me put the Sisley next to it. Here's the Sisley. So, all right, so here it is layered. This is the Nars matte with the metallic on top, and this is the Sisley 25 metallic khaki. So that's the same swatch as this. And you can see that the Nars actually looks like it has a little bit more of a bronzy finish to it versus more of that grayish finish. See that? See those differences? So the Sisley is more grayish and the Nars is a little bit more brownish, but they're pretty similar. And I feel like when you layer the matte and the metallic from the Nars palette, the finish is much more comparable with the amount of shimmer and shine. And then last up, we had a request to compare the Nars blush palette with, this is the high profile cheek palette, with the new SUQQU 103 palette. So I'm just going to do some swatch comparisons here. And let's start off with the Nars. We're going to squeeze this under the Bobbi Brown. So that's the highlight. Okay, and here's the second row of the Nars. So you can see we've got kind of these like peachy tones, like these warm, peachy-ish, warmish tones. Let's look at the SUQQU. So this is the top row. You can see this is going to be a highlighter here. So you can see these are going to be brownish. Those kind of go together. And then I'm going to put the highlight right here so you can kind of compare and see how much lighter that is. It's actually much more similar to a light version of the Gilded City shade in the Bobbi Brown. Okay, and this is the bottom row. Just going to have to kind of move over here. can see that's going to be much more plum than those. And then this is the other highlighter, which is like a little bit pinker. It's a little bit hard to see that one, but honestly, I don't think that one is, there's nothing to compare it to in this palette anyway. I think the closest is going to be this shade here from the SUQQU with, yeah, I think it's going to be closest with these two here. Overall, color stories are fairly similar. You've got similar tones to it, but we've also got, you know, it's just, there are some differences. They're pretty similar. So again, we've got Nars 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then here's the SUQQU shades. So we're just kind of missing those like peachy shades in the SUQQU palette. All right, so those are all of my updates and swatches and everything for today. Please let me know if you have any requests for the next video like this. Leave them down below in the description box or DM me on Instagram. I'm at Alexis Jong. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you know when my videos pop up. And thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to hit the thumbs up, share, subscribe, share with your friends, and I will see you next time. So have a great day and stay safe and healthy.